Hey guys, the video you're about to watch was a recording of a private lesson that I had with Shane. He's currently, or at the time of the lesson, he was rated just over 800 rapid on chess.com. He's a little bit higher than that now. We talked about a lot of different things in the lesson, but the three primary categories would be: number one, doing a blunder check and how that's incredibly important. Number two, we talked about not resigning early and why that is very, very important, especially at his level. And then number three, I went over kind of a special technique that I like to use with Excel to pinpoint weaknesses. And it's something that you can do yourself as well. So make sure, let me know if you like this kind of video, if you'd like to see more lessons like this. I do have Shane's permission to share this, but he's been doing a great job improving pretty significantly, and I thought that somebody else might be able to learn from this as well too. So enjoy.
All right. So first of all, do you have any like certain games or questions from the past week? We can start with that, and then I have something that I'd like to do after that, where we analyze a bunch of your games and throw them into an Excel spreadsheet and try to figure out what the most common mistakes are. So, but go ahead if you have like any questions or any specific games that you wanted to go over.
Sure. The last game, so I haven't played a ton this past week, but the last game I played it was Queen's Pawn opening, and apparently I've lost 100% of the games against the Queen's Pawn opening. So
really,
that's probably worth
100%. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Against that, so.
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's the opening is the problem, because your position is totally fine. Still fine. Like there's nothing wrong with the position. You lost the pawn, but even here, I guess you have some tactic. What is the tactic here? I mean, you see the eval bar. Black is winning somehow. What's the move here? Oh, I see. So you kick the queen away, and then you have a fork.
That's what I was. Yeah, I was afraid to push that pawn though.
Yes, and I'm with you. But in this case, you have such a powerful threat that it's worth kind of breaking the rule. Normally, you don't do this, but this is a really good follow-up. So that's what Stockfish is saying. They have to go here. You come in like this, grab the rook, and then you're going to have some time to defend this. You still have your dark squared bishop, so you could probably bring your rook over. I don't know what, even if white tries to do something here, you could always bring this bishop back if you need to and trade that off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good example of how, like, normally the general rule is like, no, don't move the pawns in front of your king after you've castled. But there are always exceptions in chess, and you have to understand like when you can break those rules. This is like a very big deal. So you're actually going to, you actually expose white's king too, because they can't castle. They have to make an awkward move, and you get the exchange. So it makes sense to break the rule in this case.
Right. If it was the exchange only, not worth it then, because it's only 2 points, or
if the king wasn't exposed to, that's a good question. Honestly, I think Stockfish would probably say go ahead and do it, because white doesn't have an easy way to attack you. Like, yes, they can move their bishop or their queen there, but apart from that, there's not there's not like a clear follow-up for like how do they need more support, right? They don't have an easy way to do that. You actually have it defended nicely with the way the pieces are set up. So I would take the exchange. Even if white's king was, let's say, over here and safe, I would still take it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But as far as like the opening, I mean, you're not losing this because of the opening. Same tactic as he's still here. G6. You didn't see that, so you go, fine. It's still pretty equal position. Yeah, I remember this game. I think I looked at it earlier. You just blundered the queen. It's yeah, that's it. So I don't know. Let's see. How long did you spend? A few seconds here. I mean, I guess you were thinking my knight's under attack. I got to save the knight, so I'll just move here.
Yeah.
Did you just like? Have you been doing the blunder check where you kind of check your king, check your queen, check all the major pieces? Like, do you do that every move or not really?
I feel like I don't have like a good routine for that. Like, I'm like, am I like, do I see anything immediately?
So yeah. So one thing that I like to do that really helps me is like anytime your opponent makes a move, you always want to ask yourself, like, what about that move has changed in the position? So like in this position, he moves queen g4. Okay, what's different about queen g3 and queen g4? Well, you did notice that he's attacking the knight, obviously, right? But the same thing is true for every time you make a move. So I'm going to go here. What's going to change about the position if I move there? Well, yes, you defend the knight, but what else? Oh, well, the knight is hitting my queen. So, you know, even if you're not looking at everything on the entire board, you have to at least, at the very minimum, look at the last move or the move that you're about to play, right? So what that looks like for me is like, all right, I'd like to go here. Hold on, let me just check. All the pieces. Can any of these pieces take my queen? Yep. All right, I can't do that. I mean, it doesn't have to be hard, but you have to do it, right? If you make a move like this and you don't do that, this is going to continue to happen, right? I think we've seen this before, too, in some of the other games, right? Like just blunders, something like this. So think of your move. Think of like, okay, he's attacking my knight. I'd like to defend it. I'm going to go here. Before you move it, you stop and you ask yourself, right, if I go there, what's changing about the position? Is this a bad thing? And yes, it is, right? Does that make sense?
Yep. So
yeah.
Another question about just this position. If that knight wasn't there, or like if it wasn't attacking that square, is that a good way to defend the knight? Or is it better to put it up on f6, you know? Like
okay, you're saying where to move the queen to if the knight wasn't there? Yeah. The only reason I would not, well, you tell me. I would say here is better. And maybe you can tell me, why do you think I would not want to go there? Assuming the knight is not even there. Why would I not want to go there?
Because the queen is undefended.
Exactly. You're putting yourself into a pin, right? You can no longer move. You can no longer move your knight because you lose your queen, right? Like anywhere. And so because of that, I would choose f6 because I'm not in a pin. I can still move my knight, and the game goes on, right? So yeah. Now, of course, obviously the knight is the bigger problem, but even if it wasn't, I would choose f6 over d7. Yeah. Try not to put yourself in pins unless it's your only option. And yeah, just because, I mean, pins are usually a good thing. They're just good for your opponent. So don't put yourself into it if you have another choice. So what I want to do, and I suspect I know what we're going to find, but I want to do it just to see. And this is, I made a video a long time ago on the channel where I analyzed like, I think 50 games from the same player. And I put every single game in a spreadsheet. And I wrote down like the major mistakes that they made in each of those 50 games. And then I went back and I did some like searching through the Excel to see like, okay, what are the common things that they're doing? And it's pretty good just to kind of get an idea of like, oh, okay, I'm losing most of my games from this reason. And if you focus on like, all right, I'm going to eliminate that particular mistake or problem, you can improve pretty quickly, right? So that's what we're going to do, I think, now. So probably the easiest way to do this is just click on completed games. And I'm showing you in case you ever want to do this, or if somebody watches this in the future, they want to do it. This is a good thing to do. You can do it on wins and losses. I like to focus on just the losses, but you can actually find big mistakes even in your wins, right? Unless you're playing a perfect game, which nobody's playing perfect games, right? Usually. So you could really do it on all the games, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll go to result and just lost. So just games that you lost, right? And then search, and we'll do
maybe do rated just because.
Yes. And then also I was going to say rapid as well. Let's see, where's rapid at? I think it's live games, rapid. There we go. Okay, and then we can do search. And here we go. All right, so all of these. The only thing I was going to say is, I don't want to go back too far back because we've had quite a few lessons. And so I know some of the stuff has already been, like the way you're playing has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
The November, that's not too bad. Yeah, we'll do 20 games here. This is not too bad. All right, and then just start opening everything in new tabs, basically. We'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 5 to start with. And I'm going to go pretty quickly. I'm mostly looking for the big mistakes. You could also use chess.com to kind of help you find this by just sort of clicking on the, the blunders here. But I like to just do it myself and just kind of get a feel for the game. So I'm just going to go quickly like this and look for any big mistakes. Oh, this is the game we just looked at, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to say, and I like to copy this and just throw it in here just so that I have it in case I want to review later. And so we'll put that there. And I'm going to say a missed tactic and then queen blunder. All right, those are the two things that happen in this game, right? The missed tactic here, and then this one. That was basically it. All right, so that's done. Let's go ahead, close it, and move on to the next game. Let me go ahead and throw this one in here as well. And remember, I'm looking for like very, very big mistakes, not like sort of subtle misunderstandings or like small little, things that you could improve on. I'm looking for like the big reasons that you're losing. Great, saw that. Okay. Yeah, you're crushing this person. Wow, how did he lose this one? Ooh, ooh. So the question here is, how do I want to classify this? It's a missed tactic. I guess I'll say missed tactic and back rank mate, checkmate. You just want to cover like the main keywords so that when we search this document later, we can find like any patterns. So I'll put back rank mate in there as well. That's rough, man. That's rough. All right, let's go to the next one. Yeah, fine. Nice. Ooh, ooh, man. Crushing him again. Okay. Oh, man. Wow. All right. So a queen blunder. Yeah, just a queen blunder. Got a little too excited with the checkmate. All right.
Mm-hmm.
No, and then you just resigned. Okay. I mean, is that what happened? You resigned, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it was a bad mistake, but this is not a resignable position because bishop, you have a rook for 2 knights. I mean, you have a fighting chance here. It's not ideal. Of course, keeping queen is better, but I wouldn't resign in this position. I'm going to move my bishop back, attack here. He's probably going to defend it. I'm going to play on, try to open up my rook, and who knows what might happen. White could very easily mess this up. You push by, you snag this pawn. All of a sudden, your rook can come in, and maybe you push this. I mean, I don't know. The game's going on. You see the eval bar there. It's like a pawn and a half advantage for white. So I wouldn't have resigned there.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not even close. I mean, if you're in an even game and you just, boom, lose a queen, then okay, maybe. But the other thing you have to remember, 800 rated players are not that strong. They're not. And so they're probably going to make another mistake before the game is over. Now, how big of a mistake are they going to make? I don't know. Is it going to be enough to come back and win? You have to see, but just know like 800 players, they will make mistakes. So like I would be careful resigning honestly at any point at an 800 level, because you're probably going to have a chance, even if it's like a stalemate trick at the end, right? They have like 5 queens and they stalemate you. Stuff like that happens too. So I wouldn't resign. Even if you play really quickly, just to like, don't waste your time, just finish it out really quickly. Just make moves fast. Yeah, but try not to resign. So I'm going to say, let me go ahead and get the URL here. I'm going to say it was a queen blunder and then early resignation. I don't know if you're going to do that any other games, but I just want to mark it just in case. So let's go ahead. Great. I love your position. Everything looks good. Ooh, okay. Blunder to piece. All right. Opponent didn't see it. That's a big mistake. So that's a piece blunder. So let's go. Yeah, I'll just say piece blunder. So queen, I'll say queen. If it's a rook, I'll say a rook. And then for pieces, I'll say knight and bishop. So, or for knight and bishop, I'll say piece. So that's what a piece blunder is. All right, let's keep going. That's a big mistake there. They didn't see it, so game goes on. Fine. Good. You saw that. That's great. Okay, so king is a little bit weak, but still nice position for you. Ooh. All right, queen blunder. Okay. Yeah, definitely seeing a pattern here with the queen. That's interesting. But like going back to what I said earlier, every time you're going to make a move, all right, I'm going to go here. what's different about the position? You have to check every single major piece to make sure that it can't take your queen if you're going to do that. Like, that's crucial. That's crucial. And then, did you come back in this game at all? Oh, kind of. Yeah, I kind of did, actually. See, this is a good example of what, don't resign, because you're totally lost. But, I mean, look at this, 6.7 advantage for white. A few moves later, white loses their queen. Then they give you the bishop here, and all of a sudden, it's 2.6. That's a huge swing. And the game's not even over. There's still opportunity for them to make more mistakes. Yeah, good job defending there. Okay, blunder the piece. All right. We're going to go for another piece blunder here. And that's probably, yeah, I think you resign there. Okay. Oh, no, it's checkmate. Never mind. Checkmate. All right. So, I mean, already we kind of are seeing the pattern here. I might not even need to go. I closed it before I recorded it. Oh, well, it's fine. I might not even go to 20 games because I'm already really seeing this pattern. But maybe we'll do like 10. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, it's not. I mean, there's some little things there, but they're not like big enough that I want to put it in the spreadsheet.
Is it just that I should have retreated my bishop in the opposite direction?
Well, so one thing was like right here. I think. Let me turn on the engine. I think you have F4 here. Looks like a fork to me. Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You just have this fork. So that's the first thing, which would help clear things out, because let's say the queen moves and you get rid of that annoying knight. Now your queen and your rook are involved, and it's very nice for you. So that's the first thing.
I did end up seeing that later, but on the turn.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. On the turn, he moved it.
Yeah. And then here, yes, retreating the bishop here would be better, I believe, or even just ignoring that and going for the F4 probably still the best move.
Yeah.
But those are like small things. This is like, yeah, I mean, it's not like a huge blunder, and I don't think that's the main reason why you probably lost this game. So I'm just going to keep going. Yeah, you did see it, but it wasn't a fork, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got forked there. Let's see, is that really why you lost? Maybe it is. Yeah, you resigned. Okay, that's, again, early resignation. And the reason I say that is, what happens if you push this, and you go here? It looks like you're going to be able to win black's rook for the pawn. Like, imagine this. I don't know what black's going to do. I could totally see this happening, right? And they have to like do this, and then you can look at the eval bar. It's almost equal.
Right.
With just like 4 moves there of like something that, as a 700 rated player, like, this is a hard thing to figure out how to stop, right? A pass pawn with the rook behind it, and then the bishop to come in and support it. That's very difficult for black to figure out a way to deal with that. Apparently there are ways, like Stockfish says, you put the rook on the dark square, but that's an easy thing for somebody to miss. So again, I'm going to say this one was early resignation, and then probably just a missed tactic here. I mean, you could have avoided this if you moved the rook somewhere else. And then this one. So yeah, we'll say missed tactic, and we'll say early resignation. Okay. Any questions on that game? Or did that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Let me go back here. We did the first 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me go ahead and do the next 5, and then we'll just go with 10 for right now. Great opening. Love your position. Yeah, awesome. Not a big deal. I guess, blocking the bishop maybe isn't the best plan. You have other things you could probably do, but F5, good move. Yeah, I like what you're doing. Unleash the bishop. There might be a tactic here. Let's see. Is it bishop h6? No, I was thinking you had a pin here. Looks like Stockfish just wants you to grab the pawn and then just plant your bishop in the center. Okay. It's not big enough to put on the spreadsheet right now. Again. Yeah, I mean, even though it's marking those as blunders, I'm not worried about it because they're pretty normal moves. Yeah, and again, ooh, okay, that one is probably why you lost, that blunder right there. So let's go Post-blunder. And remember, you're thinking what to do. You want to move here. Ask yourself, what is changing about the position if I move this rook? And you should probably notice, oh, my bishop. Yeah, I can't do that, right? So now it's pretty equal position. Okay, still. Okay. Yeah, all right. I'm going to say I think your best chance here was like trying to use this passed pawn somehow. So like maybe right around here, I'm going to try to bring my rook over and line up or start pushing this guy. Somehow use this to cause some problems for white. Let's see, did you ever move? Yeah, you did it, but not at the right moment. Yeah, this is a tough game, honestly, this one. And there's time pressure. Still got into a decent position. Did you just resign here?
I don't.
It just ends. It just ends. Okay, I guess you resigned. Does it tell me how the game ended? Oh yeah, white won by resignation. Okay. Again, I'm not resigning here.
I think I was probably in a position where I was like, I have no moves here.
Okay. The reason that you don't resign is because look at the clock. You have a minute and a half. They have a minute and 20 seconds.
Right.
So the fact that you don't have moves is irrelevant. You got to focus on, I can win this game on time. I'm just going to play really fast. As soon as he moves, I'm just going to move instantly and try to win on time. Like that's you got to realize like there's always different ways to win a chess game. It doesn't have to be by checkmate, right? I mean, you could win on time. You could win on a pawn that eventually becomes a queen and eventually leads, like there's so many different ways. So yeah, I'm just going to go back and forth as quick as I can with my king or my rooks, or even I'm going to move here and maybe I get checkmate like this. Yeah. There's a lot of ways you could still have won this game. Even just starting to grab pawns. If he doesn't keep putting you in check, you just start taking the pawns, right? And see what happens. You never know what's going to happen. So I'm going to put early resignation again on this one. So yeah, see, that's a pattern that I didn't pick up on until I did this exercise with putting these games into the spreadsheet. I didn't realize you were resigning early on so many games, but now I'm seeing it, 3 out of 6 games. So yeah, just play them out. You never know, especially at this level. You'll be surprised at how they can find ways to lose games, right? People who are winning. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. Yeah, again, pretty happy with your opening. Great. Win a pawn right out of the gate. Great. Okay. Usually when I feed Keto, I like to leave the bishop on this diagonal rather than going back this way, but not a big deal. Okay. Great. I mean, it's like every game you just get in these like totally crushing positions and then somehow it falls apart.
Probably blundered.
Sort of. I mean, it's a fork and a piece all at the same time. So we're gonna say, Post-blunder really is what it is. Post-blunder. But even here, you're still like not out of the game. Okay, it gets tricky. Find a nice little tactic to maybe trade the queens, and they go for it. Okay. Ooh. All right, good. Found a way out of it. Nice. And you're ahead on time. Lost that. Okay, so here at least you played on, which is good. 30 seconds. You resigned? No. Did you resign? Won by resignation. Oh my. Okay. Just because they're getting a queen does not mean that they're going to be able to figure out a way to checkmate you in 20 seconds. Especially in a position like this where you have some like random pieces that you can use to defend. Like, for example, if you play the move, let's just say here, they might, if they're moving really quick, just blunder the queen and let you take it. That could be one thing that happens. Or let's say they decide, you know what, I'm just going to take this, and then they get the queen. Fine, just move here. You've got these annoying pawns. Like, I could totally see someone going like here, and you're like pushing this, and then you push this, and then they start to panic because your pawn is pushing down the board, and they're like, how do I get checkmate? This is like a weird configuration. This bishop might even be in their way, and next thing you know, they run out of time, and you win the game. Like, that could totally have happened. So again, I'm going to add early resignation. And I mean, I don't know, like, some people have a viewpoint that it's not like ethical to win on time or something, but I don't have that viewpoint. I mean, it's part of the game. Like, otherwise they could just sit there and think for hours and hours. Like, you have to put a time limit. And part of, the chess is like, how quickly can you think through things? And so if they're spending more time thinking during the game, you're building up that advantage, and you have to try to use it if you can, right? So that's my viewpoint anyway. If that's what that's why you're resigning, just because you're like, oh, they already earned the win. That's, I guess,
it was probably the queen thing.
the queen. You're just afraid of the queen. Yeah. Okay. Just remember, they might stalemate. They might blunder the queen. They might just panic. Unless it's like a super easy like ladder mate type of thing where it's just like boom, 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 boom with the pieces back and forth. People struggle a lot of times, especially in time pressure. They just really do. So just try to remember that. Okay, yeah, that's not a big deal. It's fine. I think I remember this game from before. Yep. Queen blunder. And again, it kind of goes back to every time you make a move or your opponent makes a move, ask yourself what changed. This is one of the harder ones with the pawns when there's pieces behind them kind of. But again, you would want to try to think, okay, if they move this, what just changed about the position? And hopefully you would notice this, right? That's kind of the idea.
Always ask with the queen there. Is that
yeah, maybe just moving the queen here looks like a pretty good idea to keep the pressure on the king. I don't want to trade if I'm like almost checkmating the opponent's king, right? Your king is pretty safe, theirs is not, and so a queen trade is going to benefit white. So yeah, I would probably just go here. They have to move, and then I don't know. Now you can keep taking stuff, and there's no queen trade happening. Probably take with the knight or the pawn. Either way, looks pretty good. Yep, you're threatening this. You're threatening to push this guy and unleash the bishop, which is going to lead to an easy checkmate if they let you. For example, they can't really save the bishop, but I don't know. Even just like this, you're basically forcing a checkmate here. Really hard to stop this. Something like that is an example. But yeah, so queen blunder, and then I'm going to guess you probably resigned right after that. Let's see. Oh, no, you didn't. Okay, good. You played on. All right, great. Oh, now you resigned. Okay. I mean, you don't have anything to lose except a few minutes of your time. So I would just like, yeah, there's a checkmate threat. Who cares? I'll just defend it, see what they're going to do. And then I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to play f5, try to open up my rook, and maybe something crazy happens with the king here, right? You never know. So I'm going to put early resignation on that one. And I mean, realistically, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 early resignation games, maybe you would have lost like 3 or 4 of them. But even if you get one win, it's probably worth your time to play it out, because you don't know which game you might actually win in. 2 more games here, and then I'll let you ask like questions about any of this stuff. Oof. All right. Well, that was fast. Queen blunder, early resignation. Just copy that one. Okay, and last one here. Ooh, yeah. Did we look at this game earlier?
Probably, yeah.
I feel like this is familiar. Okay, this one's tough. It's basically a missed tactic, although it is rather complicated. Just some missed opportunities there. Still came back into the game though. So let me go ahead and copy this. I'm going to say missed tactic because I know you had some nice ones there that were missed. And then let's see, what was like the final mistake here? Good. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. We're just going to say missed tactic on that one because your opponent kind of found some nice stuff and that was a weird game. All right, missed tactic. Okay. So you get the idea, like what I'm doing, analyzing all these games, writing down, what the mistakes were. And if I did it with like 50 games or in a case where it's not as easy to see what the problem is, I would probably just go like, Control F and do like, okay, missed tactic. And then I would do find all. And it's going to tell me, okay, 4 cells with missed tactic. All right, 4. What else? I'm going to just kind of scan like, all right, piece blunder. Let me type in that. And find all. How many times is that? 3. Okay, let me just do blunder because I want to cover all different types of blunders. 7. Okay, so that's a big one. I see resignation there. So early. 6, right? And so you get the idea, right? But we can tell relatively easily it's blundering the pieces and the queen or the queen, and then it's resigning too early. So, the thing is, like, you can study all this other stuff about like, all right, well, this is the best opening, and these are like concepts that I need to keep in mind, and all this stuff. But if you're doing these really big things, that's going to trump everything else. Like, it doesn't matter that you understand an opening better than your opponent. It doesn't matter that you know like 30 chess concepts that they've never heard of. If you just blunder your queen and they don't, they're going to win most of the time. So this is something that I realized probably when I was like maybe 16, 1700. I would play against like a 2000 rated player. And I would go into it with the mindset of like, okay, they're such a good player. I need to like make sure I'm looking at all this stuff. And then I would just like lose a piece. I would just like get my bishop trapped or some random thing. And that's why I would lose. And I finally realized like I'm not losing these games because I don't understand these complex concepts. I'm losing the game because I'm just blundering my bishop. And so I changed my mindset to like, okay, I'm going to play this game. I don't care if he like tricks me with some like elaborate 10 move plan. I don't care. But I'm going to play the entire game 100% and not get my bishop trapped. You know what I mean? And when I started doing that, that's when I like got past 2000. That was like the missing link for me. And I kind of feel like that's where you're at. Like you're getting in these great positions. It's just those blunders that are like throwing the game. So you kind of just have to go into it with the mindset of like, all right, I'm going to play this game extremely carefully. Every single move, 100% of this game, I'm not going to blunder a piece. And if you start doing that, you're gonna win like most of these games.
Okay.
Yeah. So cool. Questions on that or specific games that you want to look at or?
Well, just on that last game, you said there was a missed tactic. What is the missed tactic?
Oh, on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah, right here. Yeah, right here. There's something better here. So, and I'm gonna see how much time did you spend? Yeah, you didn't spend quite enough time here, I don't think. And I don't see it off the top of my head. I mean, I'm thinking like knight to c3 is the move. Yeah, it is knight to c3. Basically, when you're hunting a king like this, you can't let it get away, especially in an opening where you sacrifice pieces. Because if you sacrifice pieces to expose the king and go for a checkmate, you have to make sure that it can't just escape. Because if it just escapes, you're just going to be losing the game because you're down material, right? So that's the situation you're in. You sacrifice this rook, but who cares as long as you get checkmate? So when you play queen to c3, you're allowing the king to come over here and sort of escape. Oh, he went to b6. I guess I was thinking king d6. Maybe that's not. The point is knight to c3 brings in another piece. So a move like king b6, bam, there's checkmate.
Right.
And it's much more difficult for him to defend when you have like 3 pieces as opposed to just 2. So that's kind of the big thing. And then I think there was another moment where you had a really big advantage. Let me see. Where was that? Maybe it was earlier. Yeah, your opponent played pretty well, honestly, defending this, which is surprising at the 700 level. But if the king like ever escapes to a safe place like that, your attack's gonna probably not work. And so like I think right here was probably the best moment that you had to win. Knight to c3. Now I don't know what your opponent was gonna play at this point. You know, if they do something like this, do you see the checkmate now?
No.
So you have queen b5, and then it forces the king over, and then you can jump to d5.
Okay.
But again, it's that like that knight was allowing you to do that.
Yeah.
Because of the b5. So yeah, maybe not the greatest example, but basically just you know, when we looked at all of these 10 games, this one was kind of the exception.
Yeah.
Most of the other ones, it was pretty straightforward. Like you were doing great, blunder the queen or blunder the piece, and that, you know, that's what happened. So that's what I try to focus on. Like what's happening in the majority of your games. You're always going to have one-off games or something weird happens, but what's happening over and over consistently that you can change, that's how you're going to get the most, you know, bang for your buck or whatever you want to call it. So questions on that or any of these other games?
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, just try to make it happen. Like every single time a move is played, let me go back to this one. Every single time a move is played or you're about to play a move, stop and ask yourself, okay, can any of these pieces take me? Like, is this a safe square? You know, like, because I mean, I know you're capable of seeing that. Your tactics rating is like almost 2,000. You just have to make the time to do it. How fast did you play this move? Yeah, that's why 3 seconds. So you're not doing those checks, those blunder checks.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think just focus on that. That's the biggest thing. And don't resign. Don't resign. Don't resign. Make them checkmate you. Make them checkmate you. And one thing too, like as soon as you blunder a queen, so let's take this example actually. As soon as you blunder a queen, my mindset immediately shifts to like, okay, I need to do something kind of dramatic to give myself a chance to win. And you want to ask yourself the question, like, how could I possibly give myself a chance to win? So let's say I take this and the opponent just like goes here. I don't know. I'm going to start thinking like, what's something pretty dramatic that I could potentially do to give myself a chance to win? Well, I'm seeing that his king is kind of stuck over here. So maybe an attack on the king. So like a5, a4, capture here, opens up my rook. Who knows? Like, who knows what's going to happen? Or maybe it's rook to c8, and I'm going to pin this guy because it's not supported by the pawn, and maybe I'm going to be able to win this. So, for example, if I go here, let's say he trades, and then, I don't know, he does a random move. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to try to take advantage of this. Let's say he defends. What am I going to do? I'm going to move this rook up and over and keep trying to take advantage of that, right? So white does something. I don't know. And I'm giving myself the opportunity here to win a piece and then eventually try to attack the king and sort of climb back into the game, right? The other one we looked at, their time was super low. So that's where my mind went, like, okay, they're super low on time. I'm going to try to win on time. Just like look for anything about the position that you might be able to somehow get a win from, essentially. Even if it's a long shot, just give yourself an opportunity. And what's going to happen every once in a while, it's going to work and you're going to win a game that you shouldn't have won, right? So just try to think through that a little bit. You'd be surprised at how many people throw games just like you did. Just like you blundered your queen. You have no idea how many people are going to be like, oh, my knight's being attacked. Let me do something. And it's like, oh, thank you. You know, thank you for the queen, right? Like that could happen.
Yep.
Yeah. So don't resign. Do that blunder check. And I think you're going to start winning a lot of these because you are winning these games. It's just a matter of like, doing the blunder check to not, you know, throw them away and you're going to win them.
I would like there's no like exercises for catching blunders or anything like other than doing like tactics, right? Like
no, it's really like building up the habit and you have to slow down and it almost feels kind of silly initially, but you have to sort of just do it. So like even at the start of the game, the second that you see a move that you don't like exactly know what to do, like maybe you've never seen E3 before, you start to do the blunder check here. And it's kind of silly because it's like, all right, I'd like to go here. All right, hold on. Let me check. Can anything take my bishop? Okay. No, it feels like it's stupid. Like, what are you doing? But you got to build that habit so that your brain just does it automatically, so that, you know, again, like, okay, I'm going to move my pawn. Wait a second. Let me just check. Is anything happening? He went here. What's he trying to do? He should at least look at this, right? These pawns. Okay, fine. Build the habit so that by the time you get to this point in the game, this never happens, right? That should never happen, because you're just always doing that. You're like, okay, I'm going to go here. All right. Aha. I see that. Okay. I can't do that. Let me go queen e7 instead. Same idea. I don't lose my queen this way, right? So just try to build the habit is what I would say. It's got to be a habit that you sort of subconsciously do. Because like when I play a chess game, I don't like tell myself every move like, okay, I'd like to play d5, but let me just see, like, okay, da 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 da. No, it just happens automatically. I just always do it, like looking at all these pieces, right? One at a time, but very quickly. And eventually you get to the point where you kind of eliminate most of those blunders. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.